Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's another episode of the Brother and Sister Podcast. I am your host, Pug Flavor, and my co-host is...
Tressa Mitchner. And we have a very, very, very special guest in the house today, Miss Tina Marie. How you doing, Tina?
I'm just so excited to be here.
Awesome.
We appreciate you coming, Tina.
You're more than welcome.
So we want to dive into this topic.
You ain't sing with Rick James, did you?
Ooh, fire and desire.
All right. Yes, very special guest in the house today, Miss Tina Marie. And we just want to hear from you and hear your story and all the things you went through, and don't hold nothing back. Spill the tea all you want to. Let's get it.
Ooh, I don't think y'all have enough room for me to spill the tea. But my name is Tina Marie.
We want to get into this topic about this domestic violence.
Okay.
So go ahead on, Tina, and tell us about your amazing journey with this domestic violence, because we got so much to talk about.
Yes. So domestic violence started when I was probably about 8 or 9. My mom, she used to verbally abuse me. She used to tell me things like I would never be nothing. So it actually started from my mom. And then when I was about 9 or 10, I was actually in foster care. Foster care wasn't too bad. But then my grandmother, she ended up getting custody of me. And then the verbal abuse, it just continued on. And I know a lot of people, they look at domestic violence and they more so look at it as being a physical thing. But verbal abuse was really the root of my abuse. And then, oh my God, then I thought I had met Prince Charming, and woo, Jesus.
Oh, man.
He was charming, but he definitely wasn't no prince.
He changed the game up on you, huh?
Ooh, he changed it. No, he taught me a whole nother new game.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah. Let's talk about that new game he taught you.
Ooh, Jesus. So when me and him first met, I was actually on welfare. At that time, I had already had 2 kids, 2 different baby daddies, Jesus. And one of my friends, she had said, hey, I got this nice guy for you to meet. Keyword, she said, nice, but Jesus. So it started off as me and him going on dates, and he would put money in my bag. And at the time, I think my son was maybe about 7 months. He would buy Pampers, and he would just he was taking me through the love bombing stage. Right. And that stage is when they shower you with love and affection and gift. And boy, was he wheeling me in.
Bait you up. Huh?
Yeah.
Ooh, man, that bait was nice. It was trips. I was, taking some of the money, buying my friends' clothes. So I was just like, oh my God, I'm so in love. And then he was like, hey, you should move in. But he had actually bought a house I think it was almost an hour and a half away from my family and friends. And my friends, they would be like, well, why do you have to move almost 2 hours away? I'm like, well, listen, you can just come visit. But in that stage, he was basically isolating me away from my family and friends. That's
the usual suspect there.
Yeah.
Ooh, and I didn't even know. I
Trying
said,
to get you away from everybody. Yeah.
Look, I was like, woo, I'm not on welfare no more. I ain't got no food stamps. I'm living in this big, beautiful house.
Right.
Ooh, I'm living the American dream. And then that was when the abuse started. It was the hitting, it was him hanging out, it was him playing mind games. My breaking point was when he had a gun to my head.
Oh, man.
And yeah.
That's trouble.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I done seen a lot of it in a lot of different situations, and oh man, that's rough. I know Trust can really relate to that as well, because she went through a lot, and And, you know, I went through a few things, but it was kind of reversed.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was reversed. It was like, I'm going to tell you, like one day, me and her was like, we was in a heated argument. And like, and it was a very heated argument. And no licks was thrown. Nobody put their hands on each other. But she had called the cops on me. And I'm like, man, I'm the type of guy. I ain't going to sit and wait on the cops. I'm gone.
It was out.
I'm out. So, you know, life goes on. I came back home and didn't think nothing of it. Life goes on. So about maybe a year later, I'm driving down the highway and the sheriff get behind me. I'm like, what the sheriff doing? He behind me, follow me. I'm like, okay, well, you know, turn the blue lights on, pull me. Say, hey, Mr. Banks, can you step out the car? I'm like, you know my name? I said, what's up? He said, you under arrest. I said, under arrest? Under arrest for what?
Wow.
He said, you under arrest for assault on a female. Assault on a female? Me? You sure you got the right guy? I ain't never assaulted no females. I assaulted who? And then he told me the name, and it was her. And then she called the cops on me a year before. It took a year. They didn't come looking for me. They didn't come to the house. None of that. They took me to jail. I went from riding my Mustang to downtown in shackles from head to toe, hopping with them chains on, going in front of the courtroom. It was just so happened to be court time. I went in the courtroom. I had called her and let her know, yo, they got me locked up saying I assaulted you. She came right on down there in front of the judge. She told the judge that I didn't do nothing. I didn't assault her at all. And, you know, and to this day, that went on my record. Right. And I was like, well, why it's on my record? They said, you got to go get a lawyer to get it off your record. I said, I didn't have to have a lawyer to put it on my record. So, I mean, why can't y'all take it off? Wow. So it kind of, for the guys, it's kind of rough. But and at the same time, it's rough because
some guys do it.
Right.
But you just happen to be one of them good guys who don't fall into that.
And it was, you know, it was one of them situations. But, and then it's like, you know, and like I said, the guys that do it, you know, I hate those guys because they give us a bad rep. You know, it's like, and they hit women and stuff like that, and they give us a bad rep because automatically the system gonna, if a woman go down there and complain on a guy, the system gonna automatically take her side.
Yeah.
Right.
But in a lot of, the majority of situations, I think that the guys that hit women is, you know, it's really been done. You know, something need to be done about it. But, you know, I guess it depends on who you get in the system because a lot of people in the system don't care. So from my standpoint, but you know.
But tell us about this, how this came up with the gun and all this.
Yeah. Let me hear that.
So they like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I just tell you my little part. Let me shut up. Don't get right.
Okay, so that night he went out. He came in the house at like, I think it was like around 3 or 4. And I was like, listen, I'm at my breaking point. I'm just tired. You hanging out 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. I was like, it's time for me to go. And I want to say this. That's the last thing that you want to do is tell them that you're ready to go. Yeah, and he said, you ain't leaving up out of here.
Oh, my goodness.
And I said, Lord, I'm about to die.
Oh, my God.
And he pulled that trigger, Lord knows. And I said, God, listen.
When you mean he pulled the trigger, he like cocked the back or what?
He pulled the trigger.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
When he pulled the trigger, what happened? Was the gun loaded?
Of course, I don't know. She still talking to him.
I don't really think that it was loaded.
He might have had a bad aim.
I don't really think it was loaded because he did it twice. Mm-hmm. So I think it was more so he was trying to put more fear in me.
Right.
And I was just like, oh my God, Lord, I'm about to die.
It worked.
And at that very moment, I said, listen, I got to go. So I took a whole year of planning to leave. So the money that he would give me, I would save up. I started working out.
So you was kind of mentally setting it up.
Mentally, because at that moment I knew
you couldn't show your whole core. Now you I gotta do this mentally.
No, gotta be smart about it.
Yeah, and at that time, I really wasn't into God the way how I am into God now. Like people would be like, well, you need to go to church. And I'm just like, I got this money, this house and cars. Like I really didn't, at that point I felt like that I didn't need it, God. But I remember going to the park and sitting down and speaking to God and telling God, listen, if you free me, I promise to leave and to help bring other women out.
Right. Amen. Amen. Yeah. And I just want to speak to the audience as far as teenagers, young girls who end up in a bad situation with domestic violence, just like my situation, because I was young, a teenager. But if I would have only listened to my mama.
Yeah.
If you listen to the people that's in your corner that love you, I say love because my mom's gone, but the person that loves you and is trying to tell you the right information, we can avoid a lot of things that we went through.
You know you was hard-headed when you was young. You know good as well.
He calling you out.
He always do. It don't matter. It don't matter.
When you're young, you know what I'm saying?
It don't matter.
Hey, for real, you need to listen to the grown-ups, man. Like, and that to each his own. Handle it accordingly.
Yeah.
Because some grown-ups give you the wrong information
Right.
too. You know what I'm saying? It depends on who it is, and you know if you trust them, and you like, you know who you can trust after you get a certain age, like. But you know the ones you can't trust, don't follow your instincts, kind of sort of.
And then when you get yourself in these situations, you don't want to bring your family into it because you scared
like
what's gonna happen. And in your mind, in your heart, you want this person to be the person that you see them as because you feel so bad because you don't want to say, "Man, my family is right."
One thing about it, if you bring two guys in a situation and two guys get into it, they might not never make up. You and that guy might make up tomorrow.
Right.
But those two guys or that two girls, they get in that fight or argument, whatever, it might not get back right, like talking about. So that's kind of why you don't want to.
Because it's just like a husband and a wife. I'm not going to bring you in my situation with my husband because we're going to be good to go tomorrow.
Right.
But you're going to still be mad with him.
I'm still hot. No, I ain't. I'm pissed. You know what I'm saying?
So that's why you don't put people in situations like that because y'all easily make up. And then the family member or the cousin or whoever is just mad and don't like this person for the rest of their life. But here y'all happy-go-lucky. And it was just, y'all just was arguing 10 minutes ago.
Yep.
So that's one reason why you don't want to bring family into this. But at the same time, what do you do? Right. So I think what you were saying is when you're in a situation like this, you need to sit back, have a mental evaluation and plan, how do I overcome this? Or how do I bring a strategic plan to this situation to get me out of this situation I got myself in? Because we have to admit, we make some bad choices too.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And with us making these bad choices, when we already know this does not work, we still trying to make it work. When we can't change nobody but us.
But ourselves.
Right. But we keep trying to think we can change this person when you can't change anybody else. They have to want to change. But if you're already battling this situation, it's just a ongoing situation because here you are doing something that only God can do is change that person.
Yep.
Right.
The same way he changed us.
Right. When you call on him, he might not do it when you want it, but it's always on time.
Always on time. Always on time.
And you know what? You had brought up like teenagers, and it's crazy because my kids saw me being abused, and I know sometimes we don't think that kids understand, but
they understand.
Right, they understand. We understood.
We understood. We went through a whole childhood of fighting. With the families fighting every weekend.
I got old enough and I'm holding the guy like, nah, you ain't healing no more.
Every weekend.
You're like, Pug, let me go. I'm not.
Right.
Yeah, as I was holding the guy and like I said, you ain't hitting mama no more. You know what I'm saying? And when I got strong enough, it stopped. You know what I'm saying? Because like, you ain't hitting mama no more. That's just it. It's a done deal. It's over. And he respected me from that and he never did it again.
And then when this happens too when the son or the child gets older and they can defend mama, it puts them in a whole nother situation as well. Because then that stepfather or father, whoever, may be mad with the child because now this child done grew up watching you beat this woman for years. Right. Now they're saying it's not going to happen no more, not on my watch.
Not on my watch.
Right.
So then it can put a discord between that child and that father because of the situation, because they're not going to let you beat mom no more. It's just not going to happen.
It ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
And so it's so many situations that come out of domestic violence where it divides families and also it creates as a child that this is something normal when it's not normal.
And you know what? My daughter, hers was kind of flipped. She felt as though that it was okay to be abused. So she ended up dating this guy. She ended up getting pregnant, and he actually shot in her car, and the bullet missed her head.
Wow.
Right.
And, you know, I told her, I said, listen, do not date this guy. And she was like, oh, okay, it's fine.
That's the same thing we was talking about.
Yep.
Yep.
Generational curse. So
Generational
it
curses.
will affect your kids too. So
Yep.
Yeah.
And
that's,
you know,
that's why I like the word tradition. I don't like it too much because some things tradition, but some things not. It's time to change up because, like I said, it's that generational curse. We're gonna break that generational cycle,
right?
You know
And that's what we are doing. We're trying to break the generational cycle. We're trying to be a generational change, a change agent for our generation.
I want to be generational good things,
Right.
generational
Right.
wealth.
Right.
Let's generate that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
generate millions.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. So that's why we tell our story, to give God glory and to speak about these situations and these traditional things that's went on in families and the households so long that we got to break this stuff because it's not good for our population. It's not good for our culture. It's not good for our race. It's just not good altogether. It's just not good. And just like he was saying, on a man's point of view, there's so many men that get accused for stuff and get something on their record which holds them down when they didn't even do it.
Yeah.
And so he's never been a woman beater. Never.
Wow.
Never. When I see my mom get hit, I would never hit a woman like, you know what I'm saying? For that to happen to me, I was like, nah, man, it's tripping. But they shackled me up. You know what I'm saying? And it was an experience, but unfortunate. But and like I said, it can be verbal abuse as well as physical. Like, you know, because it's a lot to it.
It definitely is.
Jesus.
And I know that you went through the situation, and when you made your strategy and made your plan to get out, tell us about that.
Okay, so my first step was getting to know God on a much more personal level. Because
Big step
That's
right
it.
there.
yes, because I had to understand who God was, and I had to also understand my worth as a woman. Because once you understand who you are, then the
Things
game
change.
changes.
Things change.
Right.
And then you realize, oh my God, like, no, a man is not supposed to hit me. A man is
Right.
not supposed to talk down to me. That was my first step.
And when you got that relationship with God, that's when you forgave him, right?
Yep.
And that's when you can actually have a conversation, because we're not talking about this to downgrade anyone,
Right.
because God changes everybody and can change anybody that wants to be
Yes.
changed. But from the point of view we talking about is once we got to that point and loving us and seeing how much God loves us, because the revelation that came to me when I started loving myself is because God showed me that he died for me. So I said I will never allow or accept anything less than that. If I already
Yes.
had a man to die for me, why would I accept anything less?
Yep.
Jesus Christ did it already.
Yep.
So I'm not gonna accept less than what I'm supposed to have, which is the person that God has gave me for my soulmate. So tell us about your next steps.
So my next step was understanding the different types of signs, because a lot of times we can be blind and we can miss the red flags.
That's a good one.
Or sometimes we don't miss them. We see them and then we like, well, maybe this person will change. No.
It don't change.
It's only on God's timing. God can be the only one that changes them.
Yes.
And it's like when you step your game up, it's like they shrink down.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
the bigger you get, the smaller they get.
Yep.
So to speak. Like
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Like I was telling you about Trevor's situation,
Yep.
and when she came home, how her ex just
was just different.
It was so different.
Look,
It's just different.
He was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
she a new woman. I'm
Yep,
scared
exactly.
now.
Right.
Yeah,
That's exactly what it was.
But when I think about that and I give God the glory, because my heart was so pure at that time. All I wanted to do was see everybody saved and everybody knowing Christ. So I had literally got a Bible and gave it to him.
Wow.
And when it came back to me, they had told me that he was reading the Bible.
Wow.
So that's why I said it's God's timing, and God is the only one that can change any individual. But he changes people.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's why we're here trying to encourage people. If you are one of those male figures that's abusing a woman or physically, mentally, however it may be, God can change you if you allow him. I don't see why a man would want to see a woman with black eyes or bruised up unless there's something mentally going on within themselves. The same way we had to do the work, they need to do the work and allow God to clean you up, because that's not who you are. It's not who you are to be dominant, to beat up a female.
Yeah.
Right.
When you don't even fight males.
Right. And for the bigger women and the little guys.
Yeah.
Don't be beat on them guys.
That's true.
Them guys
That's
don't like
true.
black guys.
You heard it.
Right. Yeah, you heard it
'Cause
right.
women
in front of
do it
men.
too.
That's right. They do. They beat them in.
Willie, man, I put my mom on trust with Floyd Mayweather. Trust is strong, man.
Silly.
She got muscles.
I'm
y'all.
trying to
She
tell
got
you.
muscles.
That's because we fought. That's because we fought every day.
I put my mom on trust. Floyd, you in trouble. Pay-per-view, baby.
Oh my God.
Let's get it.
You is silly. Tina, tell us. Finish telling us.
Floyd, you heard it.
You heard it, Floyd. Trust in the ring.
Floyd, I love
Pay-per-view.
boxing. That's all I can
Oh, my
say.
God.
I'm rooting for you. Go ahead,
is
Tina.
so funny.
Win, Claire. Go
So, another step is, getting legal help. See, I had to go through like a crazy divorce. So I had to find a lawyer. So what I did was I took the money that I was saving, paid for the lawyer. So I was like, oh yeah, I got my lawyer.
Right.
I said, oh yeah, it's over. And then this is amazing. I had ended up calling my mom, which was the same person that abused me as a child, was the same person that I had to run to. And that was another healing process. I'm like, oh my God.
So how did she welcome
How did
you
she
with
receive
open
you?
arms? Like
She was like, I'm coming to get you right now. So she was, at the time I was in Jersey, so she drove 7 hours.
oh man, that's
So
big.
she-
To come
Yeah.
and
That's big.
pick me up. So what I would do is I would buy clothes for me and my kids, and I would mail it to her house.
Right.
But let me tell you,
Setting up the stage.
I was setting it up. I had my plan. I was ready to go.
Right.
But that day when my mom came to pick me up, we was getting all of my stuff out the house, and he pulled up.
Oh man.
I said, "Oh my
I know
God,
you fell under the table.
girl, my heart was on the ground."
My heart beating for you right now.
Look, I was like, "Oh my God!" And I've always been a big fan of Lifetime movies, and I was like, "I'm in my own Lifetime movie." And he stood. He was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm leaving." He was like, "I'm gonna make sure that you lose everything."
But your mom was there with you.
And my mom said, "You better not touch her."
You been out
Right.
touch.
That's
I
right.
said,
So
well,
you
You
better
been
not
out
touch
and you
her.
been out touching mom.
Boy, look, I got in that car and I drove 8 hours to good old North Carolina, and I've been here ever since.
But it was a good thing your mom was with you. So that way, he didn't, because your mom was there. That probably stopped the whole anything. It could have happened.
Because listen, if she wasn't there, good God Almighty.
Yeah, man.
So when you got to your mom's and you got semi out of the situation, how did you move forward?
So I started going to church, and then
God in church, you did. That's proper steps. I'm sorry.
Well, hold on. I had to go through this. Even though I was going to church, I was still drinking and smoking. I cried for like the first year. I had to go through this whole healing process, and it was ugly.
right.
Tell us about that though. Tell us about the drinking and the smoking and the things you was going through, and why did you start subjecting yourself to the drinking and the smoking or all of these
It's like,
things?
was you depressed? Like, did depression kick in? Just a little bit of everything? Bro?
Well, because I was so used to living in my own house
Right,
and having
okay.
money and having a nice car,
you had to hit the reset button.
and I just felt
so you was zeroed out.
I was zero out, and I was just like, oh my. And then at that time, I was actually sending my mom money. So I thought she was saving the money, but she was spending the money. And I said, oh my God, I don't have anything. So I started drinking. I started smoking. I was using things to medicate the pain.
Right.
And then one day I got so drunk, I was laying on the floor. I just threw up and I told God, I'm tired. I was like, I'm ready to be healed and be free. And then I was able to find me a job. And then from the job, then I was able to find my own place. And I've been rolling ever since.
Right.
I ain't went back to my mama's house yet.
That's right. Hey, no, ain't no yet. You better not go back to mama's
Oh, no,
house.
I'm sorry.
You better go back to mama's house.
No.
Right. We're gonna speak that in existence.
Right.
We ain't going back.
Right.
We here to stay.
Yeah. So everything ended up panning out because you actually did the work on yourself. You overcame the drinking and the smoking and got yourself together. So now tell us what you're doing.
So now I end up starting a nonprofit called Crowns Rise, where I help women that are just like me. I help them get out and stay out. And then I'm also a real estate agent. So
Awesome.
holla at your girl.
You know how I love some real estate.
Yeah.
Buy a house next week.
And then I was able to take everything that God has given me about leaving and about self-worth, and I turned it into a book.
And what's the name of that book?
The Exit Strategy.
The
12
Exit
steps.
Strategy.
Yes.
12 steps
out of a toxic relationship. Yes.
So this book will help that individual that's in a toxic relationship, giving them that strategy to come out with the 12 steps that you took
Yes.
to come out of that situation and help them to become free.
Yes.
All right.
And
That's awesome.
step 1 is about God because
Step one.
yes,
Relationship.
relationship with
Relationship.
God, because we are nothing without Him.
Right.
Nothing. So what's step 2?
Step 2 is knowing what the signs are. So in step 2, I'm going over the different signs, and then step 3 is I'm talking about creating boundaries, because when you create boundaries, when you stand on everything that you said,
Right.
people will respect you.
That's right. That's right. And you have that's one of the most important things is setting your own boundaries for your life.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it's financial, whether it's spiritual, emotional, setting boundaries is what creates goodness.
Yep.
Because now you got a standard that you've set and you're
Yep.
living up to your own standards.
Yep.
So boundaries is always good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And you better not cross them now. I ain't the same person.
That's right.
That's right.
You heard it first.
That's right.
Well, that's awesome, man. Anything else, Tressa, you got to say?
So I'm just want Tina, is there anything else you want to give as far as advice or leave a lasting statement to the audience before we close out?
So my last statement would be understanding that nobody is perfect. That they say that the average woman leaves 7 times before she actually leaves. So just have patience, put God first, and understand that change starts in your mind first.
Yeah. And I want to speak to the women because I probably left about 20 times.
I know I did.
Yeah. So I want to speak to the women that have children by that individual because that's a major factor. I think with women who may have went through a broken home or something, you want that foundation of the mother and the father and the kids to stay in one household, and you want this fairy tale, but you didn't even come in it as a
Right.
fairy tale. But you're in your mind, you're wanting to create this fairy tale, and it keeps you still in this environment when you know it's not going to work. I mean,
Some maybe work, but some don't.
Yeah.
Handle it accordingly to your
Right.
situation.
right?
Yeah.
Because some may work, and both may get help or counseling or whatever, but a lot don't work. And
Yeah.
when you're trying to keep a relationship together because of kids that are involved, it makes it more
Man.
difficult.
Right. That'll definitely make it more
It make it more difficult.
And I definitely have to add on this. Some people say, I'm staying because of the kids. Listen, if your kids are being raised in a toxic environment, get them out. Stop using the kids, please.
For real.
Yep, because you're creating that childhood paradigm.
Yeah. Right.
You're setting up within them in their subconscious mind what you're setting up their life, their course.
They do what they see.
Yeah, and they do
Yep.
what they see. And this child may grow up wondering, why am I doing this? I can't get off this path.
Yep.
It's their subconscious mind it's rebirthing that. So it just creates another level of hardship that child will end up going through as an adult because they're trying to figure out what's going on with me. And all of this started from a child.
Yeah.
So that extra level that you put on them, it's probably spend years trying to figure out why am I like
Yeah.
this.
Right.
And some may do the work and some may never do the work because they don't understand the subconscious mind as well.
And then one more thing
Yeah.
that I want to add. My ex used to always say, "Nobody's gonna want you with kids. Don't listen to that."
Don't listen to that. That's just that hateful talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want her to go nowhere.
Yep.
You know
That's
what I'm
right.
saying?
That's all that is.
Don't
yes.
nobody want you.
Yeah.
Man, somebody want you. Trust
Oh,
me. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So yeah, definitely don't listen to that, man. So yeah. So before you pass judgment off on us, make sure you're 100% perfect.
That's right.
And ain't nobody perfect.
Ain't
That's
nobody.
right.
That's the whole point.
That's right. That's right.
So yes, another episode of the Brother and Sister Podcast. I'm your host, Pug Flavor. My co-host is
Tressa Mitchner.
with Miss Tina Marie. Yeah. We love y'all. Like, subscribe, all social media platforms, y'all. We love y'all. We out. Peace.